purity in terms of virtue is simply for the sake of purity in terms of mind. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, dear friends, we have gathered once again for another weekly mindfulness session, which we usually hold on Tuesdays. And today we have practiced for about 1.5 hours, 45 minutes walking and sitting. And this activity, which we call walking and sitting, is usually done to develop mindfulness. And when we develop mindfulness, the Blessed One is mentioning that we are purifying our viewpoint, how we live life, how we look for spirituality. So in that process, his advice is to have a discussion and listen to a sermon. So these are two supportive factors that the Blessed One is recommending. When you practice, you should support your practice with listening. You should support your practice with a discussion. The reason for that is you are going from known walking, known respiratory observation to unknown happiness or to unknown ultimate happiness. So in that process, there will have a lot of clarifications that you may require. And there will have certain experiences that you wish to know whether they are in line with the practice. Or you may gain some knowledge, or you may straighten your way of looking at the practice. So for things like that, this listening and discussion supportive factor are very important, right? So for that purpose, we are going to continue with the listening supportive factor, and then we will start the discussion supportive factor. So for the listening supportive factor, we have selected a discourse in Buddha's canon, and this discourse is called Relay Chariot or Rathavinitha Sutta. So in that sutta, we have just started, and we were introducing the start and the beginning of the sutta. And in that sutta, the Blessed One, after the rains retreat, when monks are coming and paying respect to the Blessed One. So when a certain group of monks came, the Blessed One asked them a question, because they came from his own native land. So he asked whether in his own native land there is any monk who is able to lead you guys. And that particular monk, Blessed One is giving 10 qualities that he should have. He says that person should be modest. That person should be contented. That person should be secluded. He should be unentangled. He should have continuing persistence. He should be virtuous. He should be developing or has developed concentration. He should have right discernment, and he should have the right release. He should have the knowledge and vision of that release. And not only that, he possesses these qualities, he should also speak about them with his disciple. And when the Blessed One asked this question, the monk said, "Oh yes, there is one, and his name is Punna, and he is usually called Punna Mantaniputta." Why he is called Punna Mantaniputta is because Mantani is the name of the mother. So they say Mantani mother's son, Punna. So his name is Punna. Mantani is mother's name. So Mantani Putta means Mantani's son. So Mantani's son Punna is such a person. And then when bhikkhus greeted him and paid respect, and Blessed One blessed them, and then they paid respect and started moving. And when this was happening, Venerable Sariputta was around, and he had a thought occurred to him that it's a great gain for Punnamantani Putta to know that his disciples, his companions in the holy life speak in praise point by point in presence of the teacher, and the teacher also accept and rejoice the disciples' acceptance of Punnamantani Putta. So Venerable Sariputta therefore wanted to go and see him. So he thought maybe sometimes I should meet him, and if I meet him, I will be able to have a conversation with him. So this episode ended there, and the Blessed One after that started walking, or rather going on his usual Dhamma voyage. He does not stay in one place. He keeps walking. Usually he's walking, and there will have instances where he will stay in one place for few weeks or months. Other than that, he is usually walking. So then the Blessed One, all this happened in Rajagaha. So after he wanted to move, he started wandering towards Savatthi. And gradually he arrived, and after arrival he stayed in the famous monastery, which is mentioned in many of Buddha's suttas, and that is called Jeta Grove. It is not Sati Grove, it is Jeta Grove. Jeta Grove, which is Anathapindika's monastery. So when he was staying there, Venerable Punnamantani Putta heard that the Blessed One has arrived, because Punnamantani Putta has been living close to that area. And then he went to Anathapindika's monastery and met the Blessed One. And once he met the Blessed One, he paid respect to the Blessed One, sat to one side. As he was sitting there, the Blessed One was discussing a lot of things, and he instructed and he urged and he encouraged him with his own Dhamma talk, and talked about how the disciples are happy with him. And then Venerable Punna took all his advices and was very delighted. After that, he got up from his seat and bowed down to the Blessed One and circumambulated him, which means he walked around him, and that is something that people do when they want to really pay respect, when they really want to worship something. So that is why people are going around the Bodhi tree. That is why people are going around pagoda, right? So although they are not so essential, that's a way that people pay respect. So he also walked around the Blessed One and he started walking to wherever he wants to go. So he went towards, there is a place called, during that time there has been a place called another grove, which is known as Grove of the Blind. We call it Andavanaya, which means Anda means blind. So when he went there, he started his practice and he was doing some walking meditation and sitting mindfulness. And when this happened, Venerable Sariputta, who wanted to meet him, heard that this person has come and just paid respect to the Blessed One and started going towards Grove of the Blind. Then Venerable Sariputta, sitting close, followed right behind Venerable Punnamantaniputta, keeping his head inside, which means you don't go very close, you don't lag very far behind as well. So he maintained the distance that he will be able to see his side. Possibly it has not been flat land. So this is why probably they are mentioning keeping his head inside. So, however, Punnamantaniputta plunged into the grove of the blind and sat down in a shade and started his day's abiding. And then Venerable Sariputta also went to the same place, which is Grove of the Blind, and sat down in the shade of the tree, and he also started his day's abiding. And then once Venerable Punnamantaniputta finished, Venerable Sariputta saw that, and Venerable Sariputta arose from his seclusion and went to Venerable Punna, and on arrival, they exchanged courteous greetings and then started a conversation. So this is a very long story-like thing to the beginning of a very fruitful, very useful Dhamma talk. So he starts like this. Venerable Sariputta is asking, my friend, why do you live the holy life? Are you living the holy life under the Blessed One? Then Venerable Punna says, yes, my friend, I do. Then the questions start. Then they are straight away getting into the discussion. Then Venerable, see here, when two people meet, especially those who practice, they don't, they do the initial greetings, and when after the initial greetings, they straight away talk about the practice. They don't talk about kings, they don't talk about robes, they don't talk about women, they don't talk about men, they don't talk about actors, singers, actresses, and all sorts of things. That is what we discuss. We discuss about inflation, we discuss about rent crisis, we discuss all sorts of nonsense. But they don't do like that. Those days, at least, they are straight away discussing Dhamma. So the question Venerable Sariputta asked immediately when he said that he is living the holy life under the Blessed One, he is asking, is the holy life lived under the Blessed One for the sake of purity in terms of virtue? He is asking whether you are living this holy life just to be virtuous. And the Venerable Punnamantani says, no, my friend. And then Venerable Sariputta asking a second question. In asking, are you living the holy life for the purity in terms of mind, which means are you living the holy life to be more concentrated, more serene? Then again, Venerable Punna says, sorry, no, that's not my aim. That's not why I live the holy life. And then he's asking the third question. Venerable Sariputta is asking this third question. Are you living the holy life for the purity of view, the way you look at the world and the life and yourself? And Venerable Punna says, no, that's not the reason. And then Venerable Sariputta is asking another question. Are you living the holy life to overcome the perplexity? Overcome the perplexity means overcoming the doubts, overcoming the suspicions that you will have in the past. Then he says, no, again, that is not the reason. Then he's asking, are you living the holy life for the purity in terms of knowledge and vision of what is and what is not the path? So he's asking whether you want to clearly know what the path is. Then Venerable Punna says, no, again not. Then again another question from Venerable Sariputta is, are you living the holy life in that case for the purity of knowledge and vision of the way? So if it is not the path, and you will get some knowledge, you will get some vision when you walk on the path. So are you doing it for that purpose? Then he says no. And then he's asking another question. Are you living the holy life for the purity in terms of knowledge and vision? If it is not the path, or if it is not the knowledge and vision of the way, are you doing it really to gain the actual knowledge and the vision? So if you when you see the sequence of these questions, from virtue, from serenity, and it directly goes to the deeper layers of the practice, and is asking whether you are doing, whether you are following this holy life to go to any of these layers. But unfortunately, Venerable Punna's answers were all in the negative. He was saying no, 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 no. And then Venerable, if this had happened to me, happened to us, we would have started a fight. For everything you are saying no. But Venerable Sariputta is asking, when asked if the holy life is lived under the Blessed One for the sake of purity in terms of the mind, you said no. And then for all other 6 questions I asked, you said no. Then why you are living the holy life? Then Venerable Punna says, I am living the holy life just to gain the unabiding, unabiding in the sense to eradicate or to give up all the clingings that you have. So we call it to achieve final wisdom, or you call it in Pali to achieve nirvana, right? So he says the holy life is lived under the Blessed One for the sake of total unabiding through lack of clinging. So you completely get rid of clinging, and then you will not be binding to anything. And that is the purpose why I live the holy life. So when this answer was given, Venerable Sariputta's questioning did not end. Then he's asking a question now in a different way. And this is how the great disciples of the Buddha dig into the teaching, and that those diggings into the teaching have helped us immensely. So since these discussions have happened, and since these discussions have been recorded, and we have now the privilege to go through them and understand how they progress. So the question now the Venerable Sariputta is asking is purity in terms of virtue total unabiding through he's asking whether virtue is the total unabiding through lack of clinging. In other words, he's asking, do you mean nirvana means virtue? Right, because he said he wants to achieve nirvana, total unabiding through lack of clinging, that is nirvana. He's asking whether nirvana means virtue. And I think there is a band called Nirvana as well, and it is not that Nirvana we are talking about here. And then Venerable Punna says, "I'm sorry, my friend. No, that is not the reason. That is not what I mean by total unabiding." Then he's asking another question. Then is purity in terms of mind total unabiding? Again, the answer is no. Then he's asking the third thing. Then is purity in terms of view is total unabiding through lack of clinging? He says no, sorry. And then again the fourth question is the overcoming of perplexity. Perplexity is the total unabiding. Venerable Punna says no, and is going for the fifth point. Is knowledge and vision of what is and what is not the path total unabiding? Then Venerable Punna says again, answer is no. Then he's asking again, is knowledge and vision of the way the total unabiding? Then Venerable Punna says, my friend, that's again wrong. It is not total unabiding. And then Venerable Sariputta is asking, is knowledge and vision total unabiding through lack of clinging? Then Venerable Punna says, even that is not, even that is wrong. Then Venerable Sariputta is asking, if you are saying no to all of these things, is total unabiding through lack of clinging something else apart from these qualities? Because these are the qualities that you will gain when you walk on the path, when you practice mindfulness. If these are not the thing, are you telling something else outside this? Then Venerable Punna says, again the answer is no. Then not that Venerable Sariputta does not know these things. And what he is simply trying to do is, he is trying to see why Venerable Punna's disciples were so much praising Venerable Punna, whether he is having the right understanding of the path of the teaching. And if he is at least aware of these things that he is questioning, then Venerable Punna is a person who is very much capable of leading a group. So that is what he is simply doing, because Venerable Sariputta is just second to Buddha. And he was the right-hand man of the Blessed One. And he is the main commander in Buddha's army. So therefore, it is not for quarreling, or it is not for anything else to put him down. It is just to tell him or just see whether he is capable, number one. Number two, after seeing, just tell how happy his disciples are with him. So when Venerable Punna says no to all these things, Venerable Punna says, if I say that virtue is total unabiding through lack of clinging, or concentration, or lack of perplexity, or all other things, purification of the view, and all other things that were mentioned, if I say that any of this is the lack of clinging or the total unabiding, then I am saying that something with clinging is total unabiding. That is wrong. If you simply take virtue, and just because you are not virtuous, you cannot consider yourself is totally unbinding with anything. It does not say that you lack clinging. You have clinging. If you take concentration, just having concentration is not the answer. Just having no doubts is not the answer. Just knowing the path is not the answer. In all these cases, there is some clinging. There may have some impurities in your system. So therefore, you can't take any of these things individually and say that that total unabiding is any of those things individually. And then the last question you asked was whether anything outside is individual. Then anything outside is total unabiding. Then he said, if you take anything outside, it is only the ordinary people, a run-of-the-mill person. And only such a person will be outside these things. And he will not anyway have any total unabiding. He is clinging to each and everything. So therefore, you can't take any of these things individually. And then he gives an example, classic example. That example is the name of this sutta, which is relay chariot. He says the example or the simile he takes is, suppose the king wants to go from Savatthi, that is where he is living, for an urgent business to Saketa, city called Saket. And if he wants to go there, he is arranging seven chariots. And one, say for example, if you take Brisbane, if you want to go from Brisbane to, say for example, Melbourne, right? So you nowadays, of course, people do it. But what people usually do is they drive for a few hours and stay in one place, and you drive for a few hours, stay in another place. You drive for a few hours, stay in another place, and you don't straight away go to Melbourne or drive to Melbourne. But those days, you did not have that speed. So therefore, what they do is they arrange chariots, and the horse will not be able to go for more than a certain kilometers or certain miles. So from one point A to point B, one chariot, and then he gets down and rests there for a day or night, and then gets onto the other chariot and goes on to the third place, and then likewise he goes from one chariot to the other. So like that, he says, this is the way your purification also happens. This is the way that the path also progresses. Therefore, he says, in that way, my friend, purity in terms of virtue is simply for the sake of purity in terms of the mind. So you become virtuous not for the sake of being virtuous, or not because that it is the final achievement, final goal, but it gives you a foundation to be purified in your mind, to be more concentrated. And when you are more concentrated, then you will be able to purify the next thing, which is perplexity, if I remember right. And when you don't have any doubts, then that leads to the clearing of the view. And once the view is cleared, then that will lead to overcoming. Perplexity is coming after that. And then once the perplexity doubts are cleared, then purity comes in the knowledge and vision of what is the path and what is not the path. And after that, you get the knowledge and vision of the way. Then when you know the path, then you start seeing the knowledge, gaining the knowledge, having the vision of the way, of the path. And then once you achieve certain levels, then you have clear knowledge of what is achieved. So this, therefore, one leads to the other. And that is how this progresses, and therefore this discourse is simply giving an analysis of the path, of the entire path. I'm not saying that this is the only way, but this is a very clear way of explaining how our practice progress. Right? So before we proceed any further, if I may ask Chatu, what time do we want to stop, Chatu? All right. So I have just started the starting sentence I made, or starting quotation I have taken. The initial quotation I took was the purity in terms of virtue is simply for the sake of purity in terms of the mind. So this is the first chariot leading to the second chariot, or the first purification leading to the next. So therefore, my topic today, and now only I'm coming to the topic, is to talk about the virtue, right? So I don't think it is a good idea for me to start virtue now, because it is quite lengthy discussion, and we will have to take at least another 45 minutes to discuss that, at least in short and in brief. So, but still, I will give you another nice discussion that took place during Buddha's time. During Buddha's time, there was very well recognized Brahmin. Brahmin means a person who is leading, those days who were leading Hindu religion, and they are looked after by the king. They are respected by other Brahmins, and this particular person one day saw so many people are going somewhere, and he asked why people are going, and then his servant said that people are going to see the Blessed One. And then he said, okay, I will also go and see the Blessed One. So during that time, there has been a huge conference in that town of other Hindu leaders, and there have been about 500 of them. And then they have heard this particular person, I don't remember his name, is getting ready to go and see the Blessed One. Then other Brahmins came running, because he's such a well-recognized person by other leaders, by the king and by the people and everybody, and he's quite matured person as well. So other Brahmins came running and said, you are not supposed to go and see him. He's young and you are old, and you are very well known among the people. So you should not go there. And so therefore, everyone was trying to discourage him to go and see the Blessed One. But since he has the recognition and reputation, he was able to convince everybody that he should go and see the Blessed One. So he went to see the Blessed One, and then the Blessed One greeted them, and then they greeted Blessed One, and everyone sat down and started a discussion. So the discussion was, the Blessed One asked very easy question from him. The question was, if there are any qualities that should be there to appoint a leader in your religion, what are the qualities? Then this Brahmin has said he should be having a very good personality, and he should have very good personality, and his generation should be pure, right? He must have come from a very pure Brahmin background, and he should be knowledgeable about the Hindu teaching, which we call Triveda, and he should be virtuous, and he should be wise. So those are the 5 qualities that were given. Then everyone was happy because he was able to answer the question. And then the Blessed One put another question. And that question was a bit serious. The question he asked was, of these 5 qualities, if there is anyone that you think that you should drop, which one will you drop? Then everyone started shouting because he's going with 500 other leaders. No, there is nothing to drop. But then the Blessed One convinced, I'm not asking you guys to change, but I'm for the sake of argument. If there is anything, what do you drop? And then this particular Brahmin, also being a very recognized person, he also settled the crowd and said, okay, if one is to be dropped, we will drop the personality thing. Personality is not very important. So even if he doesn't have the personality, if the other 4 is there, and then we can consider him to be a leader. Then Blessed One asked another question. Again, it broke up almost a bit of a commotion. The next question was, if there is another one to be dropped, out of this 4, what are you dropping? Then everyone started shouting, screaming and all that. Then the Blessed One said, no, again, this is only a discussion. You guys have got nothing to panic. This is not going to happen tomorrow or any day, but we are just discussing something. And then again, everyone settled down, and this particular Brahmin said, although his generation purity is not there, that's fine. So we can forget about generation purity, we can forget about personality, but he's having the knowledge of Triveda, and if he's virtuous, and then if he's wise, then we can consider him for leadership. And then he took the other one as well. Then he asked, of these 3, what are you going to draw? Then again, the situation went even worse. But again, the 2 leaders, Buddha and this Brahmin, was able to settle the crowd. And then this Brahmin said, it is not compulsory for you to have, in this case, I'm not saying that this should happen, but we can forget about the knowledge of Triveda. Then everyone was very furious that he is undermining the entire race and entire followers, and he's not a suitable person, and all sorts of nonsense came up. But still, again, everyone was able to settle down after explanation from the Blessed One as well as this elderly leader. Then Blessed One did not stop there. Then he asked, of these 2, morality or the virtue and the vice, which one are you going to draw? Then that elderly leader says, if someone is not virtuous, he is not wise. If he is not wise, he is not virtuous. So therefore, these 2 things are going hand in hand. You should be virtuous, and you are virtuous because you are wise. And if you are wise, you naturally will become virtuous. So when I say this, this may be, once the Brahmin said that, Blessed One seconded it, saying that is exactly right. This is what even I would have done and I would have said. And this is a very good way to select a leader. So the Blessed One said, only wise people will be virtuous and only virtuous people will be wise. But having said that, when the four foundations of mindfulness starts, the Blessed One does not say that everyone should be virtuous to start with. And everyone is coming with impurity. So therefore, Blessed One says, everyone come and start practicing mindfulness. Once you start practicing mindfulness, then you will be gradually virtuous. So it is not necessary for you to be, just because you should be wise, you will have to first be virtuous and come for the practice. No, Blessed One says, no matter what you are doing, no matter what you have done, right? I am not here to throw stones at the sinners. I am here to help people. So therefore, don't worry about the mistakes you have done. Don't worry about the mistakes you are doing even now. You just come. You just come and start the practice. And if you are doing anything wrong, then you do it mindfully. Do the wrong thing mindfully. And there I have plenty of examples of those things that I have heard from the people I have met. So we will take those things later. So what I simply want to say is, being virtuous is not compulsory. You can, even if you do all sorts of nonsense, maybe you are drinking, maybe some people may be having wrong sexual misconduct, and some people may be killing, or you may be going fishing and killing animals, or maybe lying sometimes, and we don't know, it just happens. Maybe stealing something, maybe from the office you are taking calls, or you take papers and pens and stationery from office, and they are stealing in a way. So because you do those things, Blessed One does not say that you are disqualified from the practice. No, he says, with all that, come to the practice and see how it helps you. Right. So therefore, that is just the start of the topic, and I will continue more details of being virtuous in the next talk. So thank you very much for listening. Hope this helps you to encourage your practice. With that, I will be completing my sermon. Thiruvan Saran. With that, we can start the discussion session if you have anything to discuss. And I have something to discuss. Someone has sent me. I thought of discussing that even in this group, because it relates to the topic we were just discussing as well. And it is regarding the sexual life of a person. So if someone is, since we all are adults, especially males will have their own way of sexual enjoyment, sexual enjoyment, and sometimes even females do. And if you are the report I got received was, when you have such a situation, just excuse me for taking this point here. I thought it will be relevant to you guys. That is why I'm taking this, and it is a very good discussion point, because people are very reluctant to talk these things in public. So if these things happen, and if someone is really say feeling bad, sometimes when sexual urge comes, there is no control, and you don't remember Buddha, and you don't remember anything else, and if it comes, it's a biochemical requirement of the body, and you may do something that you personally don't like, right? So if that happens, you should not start worrying about it, right? So knowing that it is something that should not happen, is the start of being the correct person, the right person, a good person. You don't do a bad thing and you don't try to justify it. Now you do a bad thing and you don't justify it, at least for yourself. So that is the starting point of the purification. And also, Blessed One is very kind. And he says this self-sexual enjoyment is prohibited only for monks. And anyone who is not monks, Blessed One is not recommending it, but it is not considered as part of morality, right? And wrong sexual misconduct means you try to cheat someone, you try to put someone in trouble, or you involve in a situation where they will have unnecessary arguments and quarrels, right? May someone else, you may engage in adultery. So in that case, it is wrong. But here it is nothing like that, and you should basically, you have got nothing to worry. But if someone is worrying, that is again a sign that he feels he wants to be virtuous. So that's how you start seeing yourself. So therefore, those things, if they happen, you don't try to be a monk since you are not a monk. And you should be happy that you know that it is a wrong thing, that you should stop and get rid of it at some point. And my advice is, and especially it is not for in such a situation, I have met people who are taking drugs and especially taking liquor. And I asked this guy to do it mindfully. And I given them steps to do it mindfully. So when you take liquor mindfully and when you take drugs mindfully, you gradually start stopping it. And a lot of people have done that. So therefore, if you know it is bad thing, but still there is an urge for you to do it mindfully. All the steps, you start labeling the steps involved in your head, then you will lose its enjoyment. And the mindfulness is not something, to come to the temple or to go to your shrine room and sit cross-legged and hold your hands on the lap and then close eyes and observe breath, or select a path and keep walking. That is just the practice. Mindfulness means a way of life. So if something happens in the life, the Blessed One says, be mindful of each and everything that you do in the day-to-day life. So therefore, don't worry about those things if any of these things are happening to the listeners. So that's just a note that I received from someone. So I just want to make a few comments about it, assuming that it will be good for this group and for whoever who listens to my YouTube talks. Right. So I'm happy to take any other questions from the crowd. Yeah.
I would just like to give a report on like how my practice had been. I think a few months ago, I built like a sense of fear in sense of like being able to like face the pain. I think what I was said about. But lately I've just been able to break those barriers of fear. And I just have a question in regarding how far the whole purification process can go, because like I'm curious as to if someone could be on a journey to not intentionally but impurify their mind and purify their mind in like a cycle. Does that make sense?
Question is not very clear, but let me tell you what I understood from the question. The first, you gave the background of the fear. And you say you have been able to overcome it. And the fear that you were mentioning was the fear about the pain that you had in the body. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So now, since it is not there, you have been able to go a bit further, it looks like, according to you. And
Yeah,
then,
there's a bit more confidence here.
yeah, and then you're asking how long it will take to achieve the final goal in stages.
Yeah,
Is that right?
it's not a matter of a final goal. Yeah, but I'm just wondering if this same cycle can repeat, where I feel like the fear was regarding whether I could impurify my mind again to face that pain.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Right.
Like that's probably like the most honest I can get about that fear. So once I overcame that fear, I
Yeah.
feel like it tries to face like another level of that fear. So it wants to impurify the mind again and face that pain again.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now
Yeah.
it's a bit more clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mind, when you have a mind, the only thing that our mind knows and does is impurifying our mind.
Yeah.
Right. So what the blessed one is teaching is, you become aware of the mind getting impurified. You don't get
Yeah.
involved. It's the nature of the mind is bringing all garbage, bringing all rubbish. But Blessed One is teaching, don't convert them into words, don't convert them into action, but you become aware of those thoughts, those suggestions, those recommendations that come from the mind, and become aware. And if you become aware, when your awareness becomes more and more purified, you will become less and less involved yourself with it. You become afraid of them when those thoughts come, because you identify that thoughts as you. But if you distance from it and see that it has a thought that has just arisen, then there is nothing for you to worry, because it is happening not in your household, it is happening in the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
But now, if you consider that thought is mine, then it's a big issue.
Yeah.
So Blessed One is teaching that technique. You see that as third party, as some other person's thing, and then you will not involve in it. So you will not take the perception that the thought is going to give you. You will not take the pleasant or unpleasant feeling that thought is trying to give you. So when you don't take those things, you will not conceptualize them, and it will not become part of you. I know it is hard, because our thoughts are coming at such a fast pace, and sometimes you get entangled, and then the fear might arise. So if it arises, you start labeling that fear, or afraid. And at some point, you introduce mindfulness into the process. Then it will start reversing.
Is there any chance you could also expand on the end goal that you mentioned? So once I remember you said something about what the end goal is going to be of the process.
Yeah. I'll come to that. Before coming on to that, when you become mindful, the way I told, don't have any expectation. If you have any fear, or if you have some anger, if you have some lust, you should not be mindful of that with the expectation that it will fade away, that it will come under control, or that it will go away. You will have to be mindful just because it has come to the present moment. Just because it has come to the surface now to yourself. That's the only reason. You don't have any expectation of being mindful. If you have any expectation, then you are gradually, without your knowledge, introducing another suffering point. Right? So you'll have to be mindful just because it is now and relates to you. That's all, without any expectation. And regarding the end goal is the nirvana, or if that is the final being an arahant, right? So if you for being an arahant, there are 4 stages. One is the stream winner, and then they call it Sakurdagami, which is I don't remember the English term. Third is Anagami, sorry, non-returner, and the final is Arahant, right? So so which means total unabiding. So if you take the first one, stream winner, when you practice and when you reach such a stage, what happens is you are going through your physical and mental process. When you go through physical and mental process, you may see things that you have never expected in your physical and mental process. So when that happens, you may feel scared. Some people may feel scared. Some people may start suspecting, right? So I was initially under the impression that you are talking about such experiences coming up and then being afraid of those things. So even that might happen, but only this is why we are discussing. So you can say this is what is happening in my body or within my system, and and then this is what I do. Then we can gradually discuss them, and then explain why and how it is happening, and gradually start becoming more and more mindful of them. So the only remedy in this practice is when something like that happens, you should let it happen over and over again, and you gradually approach it, gradually become close to it. Then your reactional mentality will gradually fade away. Yes. So in terms of time frame, you can't give anything like that, because purities and impurities of different peoples of different scales. So if more you practice, faster it gets clear.
I haven't had any like scary experiences, but I have had like certain fears that came up my body. It felt like I don't know, like demons kind of thing. It's just fears that came up recently, but I've just been able to be like aware of those things. But not in terms of like experiences. Like I haven't had anything scary or anything.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But just keep practicing and try to have your attention as much as possible to your body.
Thank you.
Then things will gradually happen. No need to expect anything. Important thing is to maintain the timetable.
Thank you.
Chatu.
Yes, one question from here. From me. It's a continuation from my report from last week, the week before. So sitting, mindful sitting. You told me to observe.
Can you come a bit closer, Chatu, if you don't mind?
You told me to observe. So because I was observing vibrations in the body before, and then so they're disappearing, and then you said to observe the place where the vibrations were. So like the place where they disappeared. So let's say remnants of it. So that's what I did. Like I would say that instantly the vibrations have disappeared, but I have an idea that that's the place where they were, or that's where the body is, like perception of the body. Actually, that's probably a better word, perception of the body. But when I observe the perception of the body, that's also disappearing. And then I'm back in space. So I guess I have like a small doubt on, because I just did this full circle and I'm back to observing space. So I guess I have a small doubt on whether what I'm doing is right.
No, you're doing it right. Yes, last time itself, when you forward the question, I was expecting that you are going to say this last week. Last week. This is how the cycle happens, because your mind has been used to this place, so it goes there. So since you have been able to come through the vibrations, right? So now what you will have to do is, if I ask a question, how long do you stay in when you go to the space, in the space? Do you stay during the whole 45 minutes or 1 hour, or does it get broken into?
There's definitely, it's not continuous.
Yeah.
There's definitely thoughts and things. It can be interrupted at any time.
Yeah.
But I would say the first step, or like I never see the breath, but let's say the first second I sit can be the space. So there's no lead up required, but I don't maintain it. I don't aim to maintain it as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, how many, what is the frequency? It's say in 45 minutes or in 1 hour. Does it happen twice, thrice, 4 times?
I don't know. Many times. Let's say, I don't know. I didn't keep track of time.
Yeah, no. So long as it is many times that you can't keep track, then you are not hooked onto space. That is exactly what is necessary. We will have to be cautious if you are hooked onto space for longer time. Right. So now
I do like to stay in space.
Sorry?
I do like to stay in space.
You like to stay in space. Yes. So that is what was broken by bringing the attention to the vibration. I saw that liking, right? So now it is happening many times. And since you like it, you don't like it happening many times. Does it make sense?
So I like it to be uninterrupted, the other way.
Yeah, you like it to be uninterrupted, and your liking is challenged because the mindfulness is there. Right? So you become more and more mindful to the space. So when you become more and more mindful, when your mindfulness becomes sharper, your space, being in space, gets other things, other inputs into it. So it gets broken, right? Which you don't like, which is because it is not soothing, because that beautiful carpet is getting some dirt now. That is how the impurities are coming out. That is how your attitude towards being in the space is getting changed. Now you will have to exactly do what you are doing now. You will have to continuously allow this to happen and observe your interpretation of it. Observe your input to it. You have mentioned that you have a dislike towards it. When you see that, observe that you are disliking it as well. That is very important. Here, what is happening is you are trying to make it permanent, right? So when it becomes impermanent, which is the nature, you don't like, and that is where the impurity is. So when that impurity comes out, you become aware of the impurity. When that unpleasant feeling, unpleasant sensation, or unpleasant suggestion comes from the mind, just accept that. Just be aware of it. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, and I have one more comment. And
Yeah.
when you go to space, and when it gets disturbed, when you become aware of it, when you are awakened into it, again see the body. Try to see as deep as possible to the body. Right? Whenever you are awakened from the space, try to bring your attention to the body. Not try to bring the attention, you just become aware of the body. See how you feel in your body. Okay? So then more and more impurities within the system will come out.
So I'm not really in any danger of getting stuck there.
Sorry?
So I'm not really in any danger of getting stuck there forever.
No, so long as the discussion is there, don't even. I mean, this is again another mental input that now mind is trying to put you into suspecting the practice, suspecting the teacher. So this is a hindrance that comes up. So those hindrances will never go away. They will come up. Only thing you can do is you can start becoming aware of it. Now this is the thought that is coming. So you just become aware of that thought. Don't ponder it.
Yeah, I need to.
Now, these are the subtle layers of the mind. So from materiality, we are going into immateriality, the mental side of it gradually. Good.
Teruvan Saranai.
Teruvan Saranai, and we can share the positive energies with the rest of the universe. We have practiced and discussed and listened to a talk on the practice. So can I kindly request Chatu to transfer merits?